It's been a little while now since Nintendo dropped the final major update for Super Mario Maker 2. In it, a ton of new features were added, such as new bosses, new power-ups, and one of the biggest things, a world maker. This was something I'm sure everyone wanted, but no one really expected. In this world maker, it would actually allow you to create 8 worlds made up of 5 levels each to create your own Mario games. This was really exciting, and while I definitely still think it was a great addition, the Super Worlds have a lot of issues. There are many aspects and parts to it that to me just seem like super weird choices that should really be fixed. So in today's video, I want to discuss my issues with Super Worlds and how I think they could possibly be improved. Now before I get started, I just want to say that I love Super Mario Maker 2 and this criticism is purely here to be helpful and not to bash the game. I want this game to be the best it can be. If you disagree with me though, that's okay as well. These are just my personal opinions with this mode. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and maybe even subscribe, but with that being said, let's jump right into my issues with the Super Worlds in Super Mario Maker 2. Now I don't really have an order, so I'm just going to go down my list randomly here. First off, actually dying in a Super World is completely unpunishing. Before the update dropped, I had assumed that upon losing all of your lives, you'd be sent back to either the start of the game or just the start of that world. However, I was mistaken. Quite a bit actually. Instead of either of those, you just go back to the same level you lost all your lives, meaning that the only consequence that death holds is that you might lose a checkpoint, and some levels don't even have checkpoints, so that might mean that dying and losing all your lives means nothing. To me, this takes away nearly all the challenge of a Super World, and I find that this is just way too nice to the player. At this point, it makes lives nearly meaningless, which I believe should be far from the case. So how do I suggest fixing this? Well, I think it should be up to the creator of the Super World as to what happens when the player loses all their lives. For example, maybe they could select certain levels that would allow the player to save after completing them. They could also possibly add a checkpoint item to the map where the player can walk through it to then let them respawn at that spot. This would go a long way in my opinion, as it would still allow Super Worlds to be the old way if people wanted that, but it would also allow them to become more challenging, and maybe even some more unique scenarios could appear. For example, what if you wanted to add a bonus level to one of your worlds, which could have the reward of giving the player a checkpoint? That could be a really cool bonus challenge. Then the player would have to weigh their options of do they just want to go through the end or do they not want to risk it and try their best at the bonus level to get a checkpoint. If they don't want to do this though, then I feel that they should still be able to make it to where the player has to go back to the start of that world or the last tower, because as of right now, it's just a bit too easy. Losing all your lives in Super Worlds are pretty much meaningless if you get nearly no punishment, so this is one thing I believe would be a very, very, very important change to make. The more options, the better. Next on my list here is just how kind of limited the worlds themselves actually are. In the World Maker, you get a 4x7 tile area to design, allowing you to customize 28 total tiles. While to some of you that may sound like a lot, I found myself often feeling like it just wasn't quite big enough. Especially since some of the things take up 2 tiles. I would suggest even making it just like 5x7, which would make it so much better and allow for even more room for creativity. Building somewhat on that as well, the 5 levels per world is honestly pretty small. Sure, 40 levels max for a Super World is a good amount, however sometimes people might just want to make a world with more content, especially if they want to have branching paths. I think upping the level count to 6 or maybe even 7 along with making the maps bigger would immensely help with making these feel a lot less limiting and make these feel like they're full of a lot more content. With more levels, maybe you could also add more bonuses or more branching paths, so you can choose which way you want to get to the castle. If our level limit was boosted up to 7, then you could have 2 different routes with 4 total levels as they both end in the same castle. The level limit and size limit just feels, as their name states, a bit too limiting. I'm very doubtful that they'll actually update this, but if they do, it would be greatly appreciated, as I just, at the moment, feel a bit limited. Now we're getting more into the online side of Super Worlds, which have even more issues. For starters, you can only ever upload one, just one, Super World. While I'm happy that we can upload them at all, only being able to upload one is pretty disappointing. Sure, you can make up to 6, which I think is a perfect number, but you can only ever upload one of those at a time. I think that's honestly ridiculous, as I would probably want to upload multiple Mario games where the theme changes. Maybe one could be more traditional and another could be Kaizo levels, who knows? Only having one makes players much more likely just to throw all of their levels, even if they aren't similar in any way, into one Super World. I think we should be able to upload anywhere from 2 to maybe even 3, but just 1 is a bit too limiting at the moment. It's honestly making me not want to make one because if I want to change something, then I would have to delete it and re-upload it. Now this one I could actually see being updated, as they did a similar thing with levels, making us only have a limited amount we were allowed to upload, but then we were allowed to upload up to 100 more throughout the game's life cycle. Also, I think it would be really cool if we could upload worlds by themselves, but this one is more understandable to not happen. I just think that'd be neat. But yes, I think that we should be able to upload at least 2 super worlds total, as there might be a bunch of different types of super worlds that people want to make, but they can only ever upload 1 to the world, which is very saddening. Now this one right here is probably the biggest issue of all of the ones mentioned in this video. All the other ones I'll be okay with not changing, as long as they can actually fix this. My biggest issue with the super worlds is the search system. It is impossible to search for a specific type of super world that you want to play through with its current system. If you are unaware, the only way for you to discover a new super world is to go here and hope that it randomly gives you a good one. That's right, there are no filters at all. You can only get random super worlds. This is extremely underdeveloped and needs heavy improvements, as we need to be able to find super worlds that fit our interests, if they ever expect us to play them a lot, that is. First of all, add tags to super worlds. This was an incredibly smart decision for them to do this for levels, as it made it way easier to find levels that you may want to play or may not want to play. Want a traditional level? Then search for the standard tag. Don't want an auto level? Then just ignore that one. Sure, while some people's tags won't be accurate to their levels, most of the time they'll be quite accurate, and this is one of the best changes from Mario Maker 1 to Mario Maker 2 for level searching. They even added some new ones in the update that they originally didn't have, like link or boss fights, which were greatly appreciated. My question is though, why is this not a thing for super worlds? Maybe each super world could have 2 to 3 tags, and we could filter out super worlds based on what we want. This will be immensely helpful, but that's not the only change I believe they should make. They should also allow the players to filter by difficulty, by new super worlds, and by popularity, just like the normal level search. Additionally, for popularity, I can't believe they don't allow us to actually like super worlds. I think they should certainly add this as a feature. Maybe players could even just like individual worlds of that super world, who knows, but they should definitely implement this in some form. Sure, you can like each individual level, but that really doesn't help, especially since some of the likes will not be from the super world. So what I would suggest is making us be able to like all of the worlds in the super world, or just the super world as a whole. For my final filter suggestion, I want to be able to filter based on the amount of levels that are in a super world. This one actually shocks me that it isn't already in, as I would assume it'd be quite easy to put in. Sometimes I'm not in the mood for a long journey, and maybe I only want to play less than 10 levels, for example. Other times I might want to go into a super world with 20 or 30 levels. Letting us be able to choose a range of levels or worlds would make the search infinitely better. As of now, the search is just way too broken for me to enjoy looking for new super worlds. This desperately needs to be changed more than anything else in Super Mario Maker 2 at the moment, and this was the main reason for me making this video at all. I hope Nintendo listens and decides to eventually change this in some sort of patch. Now for my final segment here, I'm just going to go through a few miscellaneous things that aren't really that important, but I think would be nice little changes nonetheless. First off, I want to be able to place more than just one set of pipes in the world. If we could have 2 sets, that would lead to much more interesting world map designs with more alternate routes, but as it stands, it's only having one, and it's kind of pathetic. Maybe a few more enemies could be placed on the world map, such as Dry Bones for Smash. However, I would also like to see some switches. Upon activating them, they could either destroy a barrier or open up a new path, which I think could lead to way more complex worlds. This could make it to where maybe you have 4 different levels that you can go to from the start. You can clear them in any order that you want, however you still have to complete all of them in order to get to the castle. Another small addition I think would be nice is if the creator could control if a player can keep a power-up between levels or just start each as Mini Mario as it is now. This would go a long way in making these levels feel more like actual Mario games. They could also add a normal Toad House, which would give players power-ups for the next level. Now this could break some levels, however I think that would be okay since it wouldn't really matter all too much since it's in a super world. I'd say as long as the level is beatable with no power-ups, then this should work fine. Just as long as the creator has the choice of allowing them to keep their power-up or not. Another thing I think would be cool is if we could add descriptions and titles to our super worlds. There's not much really more to say here, I just think that'd be neat. Again, like I said, these changes are all fairly minor, so I'd be fine if they aren't changed, but I thought this was just the best place to say these extra ideas. But anyways, that's it for this video. What do you all think about Super Worlds, and do you all agree with me? Let me know in the comments. I really do hope that this mode gets improved sometime in the future, because I think it's got a great idea behind it. Just the execution needs to be a bit better. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, and maybe even subscribe for more on Super Mario Maker 2 and anything else Nintendo Switch. I'll be making some more tips here soon, along with some more live streams, but I want to get through my thoughts on this mode first. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.